Andrew Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, creepy Cuomo, Nomo Cuomo. There's a lot of little things going around about this man, but he is no longer going to be the governor of New York. And been following this case. We've been sort of poking fun at it. He's touching butts and rubbing bosoms and holding people's necks and things like that. And that turned out to be sort of the biggest crime of the century. Now, I know that in 2021, that's sort of the thing right now, right? If there's anything that is morally offensive towards a protected class like females or we're not going to get into it there, but you get my point here. That is like the crime of the century. Meanwhile, Andrew Cuomo allegedly murdered a couple thousand old people by sending the COVID patients back into nursing home centers, and we kind of just all forgot about that. So but he touched a butt sometime somewhere for some lady a long time ago, and so we're all gonna stop and pause ourselves and I guess dive into it. Here it is. Now, this was actually an interesting little unfolding today, because the way that this started is his attorney or his counsel or whoever this person is came out here before he spoke and was sort of, we're going to fight this, quite frankly. And I was listening to her and I was like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying here. She came out and she said, oh, well, how about, actually, I disagreed with this, but she said, we believe all women, but we also believe all men. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's not right. That's not fair at all. If you're accusing somebody of a crime, this is still the United States of America. The accused still enjoys the presumption of innocence. It's on the burden of the accuser and the state to prove their case in a court of law. So she came out and said, well, I believe all women, but I also believe all men. And I'm like, no, I don't believe all women at all, right? If they are bringing the claim, they've got to prove it. We don't just default towards their perspective. Oh, I guess if you said it, then he's guilty. Because if I believe you, then I have to presume that he's guilty. Doesn't work that way. Hollywood and a lot of people in the media were patting themselves on the back for this believe all women thing, but it was sort of the about face of what our entire justice system was built on. So anyways, this woman comes back out here and she's sort of trying to talk Governor Cuomo out of the whole thing. And it didn't really go well. Here was one clip from her this morning. Says, well, look, you can say what you want about Cuomo, but, he didn't mean to grope her.
He touched the logo on her shirt, which was her energy company logo, as he was greeting her. The governor did not mean to grope her. And certainly there were pictures from this event. Those pictures haven't been provided to me, and they were not part of the Attorney General's report. He touched the logo.
Yeah, okay, so we've got it right now. She's actually right, and I actually agree with this. I'm not real sure what criminal evidence they have here. We know Letitia James came out with her book report of 100 and whatever pages, which she's very good at. She writes a lot of book reports for her government job, and it was okay. Right? These are 12 different allegations from a bunch of different women and non-named people over 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's all coming to light now. And a lot of it, we went through the whole complaint. We went through the whole document. It's like, well, touching and offensive this and offensive that, but nobody thought to bring charges or report it 2 or 3 years ago. Now it's all coming to light. All right, so we are now going to watch a bizarre thing happen here. So Cuomo's attorney comes out and says, there's basically no criminal line here that the government is going to be able to prove because I didn't get that information. This is all a misunderstanding. I didn't get any information about it. And she's right. I think on a criminal level, it's hard for the government to prove a criminal case beyond a reasonable doubt, at least in one man's opinion from what I have seen here. Now, we're going to get into this and see what Andrew Cuomo, what the future looks like for him, because there are charges that are still being kicked around and investigated. But that's a different standard. We're talking about the criminal standard versus the political standard. And the political standard is really whatever you want it to be, right? There is no presumption of innocence. It's sort of whatever way the political headwinds are going. And so something happened and Cuomo came out and then he comes out in his press conference and he's like, I'm a fighter, but I'm also resigning. So we got 2 clips. Here is the first one where he's, coming out with that New York spirit, telling us that he's going to continue to fight.
You know me. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred. I am a fighter. And my instinct is to fight through this controversy because I truly believe it is politically motivated. I believe it is unfair and it is untruthful. And I believe it demonizes behavior that is unsustainable for society.
Okay, so a couple yeses there, right? It is political, certainly. Is the evidence there to corroborate it? Probably not. But is this a real travesty to society that we can't have creepy governors creeping all over people? That's kind of his argument there. This is a sad day for America because we're criminalizing, we are impugning this type of behavior. All I was trying to do was rub some faces and some butts from Cuomo. So he comes out, I'm a fighter, but thankfully he is merciful. He's going to spare us a big, long investigation here. And so this is where he is resigning, removing himself from office. Andrew Cuomo today. Final days, Andrew Cuomo. Here he is.
New York tough means New York loving. And I love New York. And I love you. And everything I have ever done has been motivated by that love. And I would never want to be unhelpful in any way.
Oh, my God.
And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing.
Yeah, good call.
And therefore, that's what I'll do. Because I work for you. And doing the right thing is doing the right thing for you. Because as we say, it's not about me. It's about we. Kathy Hochul, my lieutenant governor, is smart and competent.
Yeah.
This transition must be seamless. Mm-hmm. We have a lot going on. I'm very worried about the Delta variant.
Yeah, there it is. Very worried about the Delta variant. So he pivots right into the Delta variant. And so, it's so painful to watch it. You have this guy, I love you, America. I love you. And it's not me, it's we. I'm Governor Andrew Cuomo, New York, signing off here. We're fighters over here. And so, the whole thing has been a wild spectacle. So this is going to bring down the governor, some sexual harassment and some butt touching. Not the fact that maybe thousands of New Yorkers were killed by him. So, all right. Well, now since this is national news, let's take a look at what the White House was preoccupied with. They were dealing with this today. Now, very interesting. So I wanted to point this out. I thought this was interesting, the timing of this, right? This is Joe Biden's first big domestic victory. Today was the infrastructure garbage bill for $1.2 trillion that I think 19 Republicans signed on to, that I think, depending on what's actually in it, that nobody knows. I think Congress is going to figure it out also when the bill is finally passed. And, like Nancy Pelosi said, we got to pass it to find out what's in it. Hello, we're not going to read it before we do that. That's insane. That sounds like a lot of work. It's a big bill. We're not going to do that. So once it does get passed, then we'll know what's in it. But we got some issues in this thing with crypto, with a lot of the cryptocurrencies, kind of smashing that down with taxation and different regulatory provisions. We also have different provisions, like it's going to require all new cars to, for some reason, test whether you are consuming alcohol or whether you have alcohol in the air. Don't really know the specifics on that either. But it's essentially sort of the government is, exercising its infrastructure tentacles into different facets of your life, right? What used to be your car is now kind of the government's car. It kind of pings home over there to make sure that you're okay to drive and all of that stuff, even though it's not illegal to consume alcohol and drive a vehicle, right? That in and of itself is not illegal, at least in Arizona and many other states, right? It's impairment. It's being over the legal limit that is a problem. But who knows what the federal government wants to say about that if they just come out and say, well, this is our new standards here. You're now dangerous. This is now medical misinformation, or this is now something that might cause an insurrection to happen. Well, we're just going to turn that off because you're a danger to society. So we're seeing how this is all unfolding. Point being, right in the middle of the infrastructure bill, the only thing really that Joe Biden has gotten done other than spending, well, Cuomo comes and takes the spotlight out of the whole thing. And I think that was very intentional, right? He could have resigned tomorrow or yesterday or later in the week, but it was timed. I think that he did not like the disrespect from the White House, right? He said, hey, Joe, you're kind of somebody who's got some of these other groping problems like I have. We should be solidarity here. We should be bros. You like butts. I like butts. So we should just, run hand in hand in this thing together into the sunset. And Joe Biden said, oh, no, we can't do that anymore. I was a big fan of you when you were sort of a thorn in Trump's side, but not anymore. So now you're just gone with the wind. The rest of the Democratic establishment just dropped him like a bag of dirt. And so now we're going to see, what they're going to do. This was timed to take the wind out of this glorious infrastructure bill that's going to add $1.2 trillion to our federal deficit. So that's going to be good. Anyways, the reporters asked Joe Biden about this today at the White House, and he was pretty proud of himself, I think, with this answer. Watch as he says this. He says, I respect his decision. And then he says, I really like that answer. And he says it again. I respect his decision. Pretty proud. Here he is.
Mr. President, your reaction to the
Darlene of AP. Darlene, AP.
Yes, thank you. What is your reaction to Governor Cuomo's his announcement that he's stepping down? You called on him to resign. Did you think he would?
I respect the governor's decision, and I respect the decision he made.
Yeah.
Mr. President.
And I respect the decision he made. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So he's happy with that. So that's what we've got, right? A cup. That's it, right? That's how it started off. Then somebody says, all right, got it. So he has resigned now in disgrace. And what do you think about, the other aspects of Cuomo? Can you, Mr. Biden, can you give us a little bit more there, a little bit more substance other than that? Because we've got some questions. Here he is.
Make the case.
Mr. President.
If I may,
Mr. President.
ironically,
Mr. President.
one of the Democrats through the years that you spoke with about infrastructure the most was Andrew Cuomo, who is resigning, who announced he's resigning today. You had traveled New York with him when you were vice president to the launch of the reconstruction of LaGuardia. He was someone who supported your campaign early on. No, you called on him to resign. No, you condemned the alleged behavior. But you're someone who spends a lot of time with mayors and governors. How would you assess his 10 and a half years as governor of the state?
In terms of his personal behavior or what he's done as a governor?
What he's done as a governor.
I thought he's done a hell of a job.
Hell of a job.
I thought he's done a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And, both on everything from access to voting to infrastructure, to a whole range of things.
Yeah. What else?
That's why it's so sad.
Oh, yeah.
Make the case.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Yeah. So, access to voting and infrastructure, and I don't know what else to talk about. So he's, so that's where he goes. Now, then somebody responds back to him and says, listen, if you said he's done a hell of a job here, Joe, how can you say that about somebody who's a predator out there? Media's not letting him get away with this. Let's see what he had to say.
Hard to make sure we get it passed. Yes.
Would you like to see? But can I quickly follow up on your comment on Governor Cuomo? Can you really say that he has done, quote, hell of a job if he's accused of sexually harassing women?
Look, you asked two different questions. I asked the substantive, should he remain as governor, is one question. And women should be believed when they make accusations that are able to, on the face of them, make sense and investigate it. They're investigated, and the judgment was made that what they said was correct. That's one thing. The question is, did he do a good job on infrastructure? That was the question. He did.
As a governor.
No, the question was, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
How was he as a governor generally?
Well, the governor generally, obviously,
Outside of his personal behavior.
outside of his personal behavior. Okay.
But can you separate the two?
No, I'm not. I was asked a specific question.
Okay.
I'm trying to answer specifically. What do you want to ask me specifically?
Well,
Look at Kamala back there.
Infrastructure as well. Given that you have said this is such an urgent bill that needs to be passed, why not have the House take it up immediately for a vote?
Listen, watch.
We'll get it done. I'll get both.
Whoa.
Mr. President, we'd like to see the FDA speed up approval.
Look at Kamala back there. She's right there like a stalking horse. All right. So she's just like a prey, just like hunting, waiting. Sees a weak little gazelle there, ready to strike at any moment. So that was Joe Biden struggling along there with the press. Now, he kind of still mumbling a little bit. I know he took a long weekend off, but we were hoping for a little bit more energy on the way back. But anyway, so that's what we've got. Laughs away at the infrastructure bill. Little question about that. No, we're not. Thank you. We're going to get it done, and just walks off because he doesn't know what to say. they're out of energy there. Now we got one more clip before we jump out of here. We have a couple super chats here, but we got a little bit more work to wrap up here. Now I forgot about this clip. This clip has been passed around Twitter all afternoon today, and they're talking about this clip here from some of these Hollywood celebs who were all very excited about Cuomo early on. Let's check back in here.
Governor Andrew Cuomo, you are the man. What?
So now that you're the love gov, you've kind of transcended politics. You're more of like a national sex symbol. He says you'll probably get more dates than votes.
Do you think that you are an attractive person now because you're single and ready to mingle?
You are well liked among the ladies. People knowing that you're single and they think you're good looking. And
like the author of this op-ed entitled "Help! I Think I'm in Love with Andrew Cuomo."
We heard though that you had a crush on our boyfriend, Andrew Cuomo.
Dude, everyone does, right? He's fantastic.
It's okay. These feelings are perfectly natural. Many Americans experience moments of being at least Andrew curious, if not fully Cuomo-sexual.
Trevor, you call yourself a Cuomo-sexual, and I agree with you. I feel like I'm a Cuomo-sexual too.
My celebrity crush right now, Governor Cuomo.
Governor.
Oh. All right. Well, I wonder what they're saying now. Anybody ringing them up on the phone to get an answer from them on what they have to say about all this? All right, who's stepping in to replace him? We've got Kathy Hochul, who is posting here on Twitter, says, I agree with Governor Cuomo's decision to step down. It is the right thing to do and in the best interest of New Yorkers. As someone who has served at all levels of government and is next in line of succession, I am prepared to lead as New York State's 57th governor, which I believe is the first female governor in history over there in New York. So, breaking glass ceilings, we get one man who was, basically molesting a bunch of women, and then we just, get rid of him and then put his second in command up there who happens to be a woman. So that's sort of perfect. It's almost poetic in a way. Very nice. Now, is Cuomo out of hot water now? Who knows? We'll see. Probably. I'm not sure that these criminal charges are going to stick, but we'll see, right? If the gears of justice are mad at you, well, they're going to go after you. Only for the butt touching, though. Butt touching is very, very illegal in this country. And so we have an Albany sheriff launches an investigation into a Cuomo criminal complaint, but didn't do much when there were allegations that there were, thousands of senior citizens being killed in their county, but whatever. The Albany County Sheriff on Saturday discussed a criminal complaint his office received this week from an aide who said that Cuomo groped her breast at a governor's state residence. Sheriff Craig Apple said the investigation is in very early stages. I'm not going to release any details. This is the woman says, I was afraid. Now she finally came public with her charges. I think they were about from 2019. Because she felt empowered now. So now that there's a little bit of publicity, she feels now empowered suddenly. She was one of nearly a dozen women whose accounts of sexual harassment were outlined in a report, told her story for the first time. So that's good. Very, very, very brave. Hopefully she's getting some closure, some good followers on all of her social media, and she is able to write a book sometime in the near future. Let's take a look at the questions over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com and see what we've got on this segment. Reminder, we're only going to take a couple of these because I've got to move and groove on this. Let's see here. Cue some of these up. Some of those were from yesterday, looks like. All right, Nomo Cuomo says, that was from Lord Nelson. I'm surprised so many people misspell Cuomo. Okay, I see what you're going there. We got Sergeant Bob says, let us not forget that President Trump sends a huge, well-equipped hospital ship to New York City, ready to accommodate all the people that were sent to nursing homes, only sent them off to death not to take advantage of President Trump's timely assistance. Yeah, and he got all sorts of awards, and they were doing cartwheels and singing songs for the man. We have Paula MK says, I heard that because Cuomo resigned, he gets to keep all of his pension and benefits, but wouldn't if he was impeached. I can't think of any other reason he would have resigned unless he did so because he realized he was being used as a political scapegoat for the Dems, decided he wasn't doing it anymore. Thoughts? Yeah, it's a good question, Paula MK. I think that there was probably enough writing on the walls. And then you also saw today that there was this sort of a mass exodus of his staff, right? When you're in that position and you lose all of your lieutenants, the people who would go and help you mount that defense, at that point, the writing's kind of on the wall, right? What are you supposed to do? He would need them to go and, rally the media, set up that event, get me scheduled over here, book me on that, set up that interview, blah, blah, blah. And if they're not willing to go to bat for him, in fact, if they're sort of equally liable, well, and they're going to abandon ship because they don't want to be in the blast zone here, well, then he's out of options. And so he's just going to call it a day and move on, which is probably what he did. I've already seen some people speculating that this is to, brush this all away so that he can come back out and run again sometime in the future. Kenny 1B says, is it just me or is Cuomo holding back from crying? I don't know. I don't buy anything that he actually says there. It seems mostly fake to me. We have Gail says, my opinion is he resigned because the DOJ told him privately they'd reopen the COVID nursing home investigation if he didn't. Although some of these women did report this behavior at the time it happened, his administration did not properly handle the complaints at the time. Yeah, there's truth to that, and I know I can be very hard on the accusers here, on the women. And I respect. I don't endorse or encourage or condone any of that behavior. It's extremely offensive to me. But at the same time, so is weaponizing and using the justice system as a political tool against your opponents. I do not like that at all. And when I start to see stuff like this, that, a lot of these people were in his inner circle, okay? All of those Hollywood morons were all set, oh, Cuomo, you're single and ready to mingle, love gov, and all this stuff, right? They knew he was a creep show. Just like everybody in Hollywood knew that Weinstein was a creep show. Just like everybody in D.C. knew that Epstein was a creep show. Just like everybody in the White House knew that Bill Clinton was a creep show, right? They all know about it, and they all feign this moral, oh, we're shocked, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And then they want to throw him under the rug in the dumpster and forget about him. Now, that's fine if they want to do that, but not if they are stepping all over the justice system to do that, right? Get him out politically, impeach the hell out of him, whatever. But don't start threatening these criminal charges for a bunch of these cases where many of these people were, they were in his inner circle and they wanted to stay there for good reason. They had definite motivations to be around his presence. One of them we covered got a promotion, right? She was like an aide, and then she was part of the environmental committee talking about whatever. And you're going, how does she get that promotion? So, it's all part of the game. It's disgusting as hell. They know it is. But when it turns into this big, showboating, we're out there to do justice on behalf of all the aggrieved women out there, give me a stinking break. They don't care about any of this. It's politics, and it's weaponizing the justice system. And that's not appropriate. I don't care who you are, Cuomo or anybody. We've got Speech Unleashed says, I'm glad he resigned. Now he can't be used as a smokescreen any longer for the media to bring out and deflect from more pressing issues, such as the passing of the pork-filled infrastructure bill, ridiculous, pointless mask mandates, and the coercion to force people to get the vaccine. Yeah, it is. It's one of these stories that, we have to talk about because it is important, because he is a governor of a state, because there are a lot of, intermingling things going on here. But what upsets me more about this story, rather than, yes, I'm sorry that all the butt touching happened for all of the women. Please accept my condolences for the butt touching. But, in these cases, there are bigger issues here. And the fact that we're not talking about them is problematic. That is the problem with this whole story. The butt touching is secondary. The bigger problem is the lack of prosecution of somebody who was grossly negligent, who was killing senior citizens knowingly. Just send them over there. Got nowhere else to put them, so that's good enough. All right, but we got to talk about it because it's the only thing that anybody's talking about these days. So, all right, let's see here. Let's go. Let's take a quick look at some super chats because we are almost at that half-hour mark. Let's see what we've got. We've got Hydro X says, they always knew who Cuomo was, but this will be used to weaponize and used to say how evil men are, and the patriarchy needs to be dismantled. Yeah, we've seen a lot of that language. And I think AOC was even talking about that, right? She thought after she was about to get attacked and murdered there in the Capitol building that there may have also been some, other types of sexual improprieties or assaults taking place there. And of course, what did she blame for that? White supremacy and the patriarchy. So you can it's like a bingo card. It's like, oh, bingo, I've got, supremacy, white supremacy. Oh, got that one too. Yeah. We have Kareem165 says, good afternoon, Rob. Do you think this will strengthen or weaken the Me Too accusations and also people falsely accused of rape or sexual assault? I'm not sure that this will, but I think that the slow sort of, role of this the continuation of these types of allegations and these types of charges, people are just going to say, like me, what are you talking about? This, okay. So, if you're going to make a mountain out of a molehill, right? That's fine. You can do that. It's politics. Have fun all day long. But when this crosses over into the criminal courts and we start, using the DOJ, the AG's office for any of these different states to go after your political opponents, and don't think that isn't this, right? Letitia James is the attorney general there. Who wants to bet that her name is out there as a candidate for governor the next time? She just took out one of her opponents, and that's not appropriate. So, in cases like this, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more men sort of opt out of the dating pool just in general, just because of these accusations happening. And you're going to see, it really is going to be problematic, I think, long term for the culture of this country. But that's a whole separate point. I think that we still have a lot of gas left in the Me Too tank. There's still a lot of energy and enthusiasm out there, but eventually I think it will sort of putter out, because if they continue with these allegations, it's stupid. You can't, there are some here that I'm sure have a lot of merit and a lot of teeth to them, but a lot of these are just, brushes and touches. And if they were criminal, well, that's a standard that then should be applied to everybody. And does every single man, you can't go to a club in Old Town, Scottsdale here, even if you're a male, without, getting groped 25 times as you're walking to the bar. So, we have to just be cognizant here as a society. Is this our criminal justice system right here, to go and incarcerate a governor for butt touching, when on the other hand, we've got clear evidence that there are thousands of dead senior citizens? Like, is that where we want this to go? All right, maybe, I don't know. Hydra says, it's amazing that as a lawyer, you would say that he molested women when there has been no criminal charges against him. Men play the white knight too much. So I was probably being facetious when I said that. I don't actually think that there were any actual molestation charges or allegations of that. That's sort of a different offense. But I get your point, right? And I do agree with you. Men play white knight too much. There's no question about that. All right, we'll take a couple more from locals, and then we got to move on with the show. We got Sharon here, says, good to see the creep gone, but seriously, what effing difference is it going to make? He'll just be replaced by something most likely worse. All worst of is nothing about the thousands of people in nursing homes he killed, but hey, they were old, probably mostly white, so good riddance to them. That's from Sharon Quidney. We've got another one here from Peely Wally, says, you've seen it in use with me, Joe A. Biden, and of course, more recently with Cuomo. Sign up on my 100% success rate creepy old guy course. Become a sleaze faster than you can say a safe word. That was also something that Cuomo said. Excuse me. He said specifically that he never thinks that he crossed a line, but he didn't realize that the line had moved, which is pretty clever, right? Oh no, I just was being my old self. And so he was sort of blaming this on like the old man guy. Like, oh, I'm just an old man, and I don't know any better than this to be grabbing women's butts and bosoms in the middle of your governor's mansion parties, right? I just didn't know. I'm just an old man. I'm 63. I have no idea what I'm doing. That's not appropriate. Okay. A lot of old men, but to use your label, who don't do that. So that's not fair, right? I hate that crap when people use that as an excuse, right? Hunter Biden does this all the time. Well, I'm an addict. That's why I'm a piece of garbage. That's okay. There are a lot of addicts who aren't pieces of garbage. Just because you're an addict doesn't make you immune from the label of being a piece of garbage. You can still be a piece of garbage independent of your addictness. So, all right, we got to move on. I'm sorry I didn't get to the questions. I know there were a lot of those on there, but all of those came from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Also, shout outs on YouTube to Hydra Kareem165 and Hydra PX, along with many others. Thank you to everybody for all of your love and support there. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and we've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona. We have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing. But you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow, because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show, and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.